Hey guys, it's me again, Folklore. What if? So where I last left off is, well, this is a new what if. What if Belle had the abilities from Folklore? If you don't know what Folklore is, essentially you beat the crap out of enemies in a dreamlike realm, if I remember correctly. You steal their souls and then turn them into minions to fight for you. How I will do it for this, however, is it generally anything he beats crap out of, if he's able to grab onto its soul. It's essentially, how many of you seen Naruto, the Reaper Death Seal? Sort of like a fight versus wills is how I will be portraying it, is that he has to rip it out. Ripping it out. So where we will start off is, again, Belle will be a young lad. This time, he's around just a normal village. He has his mother, his father, and he continues on in the world. I'll say he even has a sibling at one point. I don't know what to give her a name. Whatever. As it continues forward, Belle, going through the world, not going through the world, but interacts with his mom and dad. It's a nice sunny day. He's out to play with his friends, running through the woods. Da 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 da. He's running through the woods, doing what any normal kid would do. Then, out of nowhere, the group of them are attacked by a wolf. Just a weird wolf. And it charges at him. It just, starts clawing and crashing, trying to bite one of them. Belle, at this point, just sort of, body checks it. He's like, "Gah!" And just, throws himself onto it. And just knocks. He's like, "Go, please, get our parents. Oh, gosh." As he's just, sort of running away from the wolf, even at one point climbing into a tree. But he doesn't climb high enough. The thing grabs onto his leg and just yanks him down and starts, I forget what the word is, but it's mauling. He's kind of getting mauled. He kind of gets mauled. As he's being mauled, he's essentially just sees the point. Sees this and he actually eventually hits his eyes and such. He's like, "Oh, my eyes." He doesn't go blind, but after he shakes it off, he just noticed something. Sort of the spirit, or some weird physical entity, not even physical, some weird entity above the wolf that looks similar to a wolf outline. So as he grabs something and smashes the wolf in the face with it, it runs away. This thing just starts getting ugh. It's little spirit turns red. So Deku runs over and grabs, he's somehow, as to his words, he's like, "I somehow grabbed it." He grasps it very tight and just slowly but surely yanks it out. As the wolf somewhat yelps in pain, as its soul is quite literally being ripped out of it. He rips it out, and it just sort of goes into him. After he looks around a bit, he's like, what the fuck? As he looks around a bit, just question, and then just runs off back to where he goes, and he's sort of limping, ow, 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 because like I said, his leg is very mauled. He has bite marks over him, but he isn't to the point his life is in danger. Sorry, it just sort of grabbed him a bunch with his mouth and hit him with its claws. As Belle sort of limps back to the camp, all the people have rounded up a little search party. He's like, "I'm alive," and then just goes ugh, and collapses on the ground. "Oh my god, Belle!" And they all rush over. They take him to, I believe it's an apothecary or something like that. Or whatever that's equivalent to a medieval doctor. They rush him over there. They're like, he's See, he's mauled several. Yeah, he'll be up in no time. He's just gonna be fixed up. So as like he goes through like a couple of days of getting patched up, he's able to be out and about again. This may not be accurate, but I'll say he has some of Tario's medical things, so they do help a bit. Now, as they continue forward with this whole... After this event, one day Belle is just like kind of lonely because none of his friends are allowed to come out. As he's just sitting there, just out of nowhere, the little spirit of the wolf, at first he's like, what the, oh god, it's back, it's back with a vengeance. As he just like sort of climbs up, it just sort of sits down and stares at him. Just like, he sort of climbs down after a little bit and just sort of reaches out and pets it. He's like, is it real? And just sort of like touches it, then yanks his hand back and just pets it some more. So he's like, huh, I don't know what this is. This current point, since he's a child, he's like, yeah, I got a puppy. As he's like ecstatic, he's like, hey, mom and dad, I got a dog. They're like, wait, what? As they rush in, they see this like weird specter. As this like weird wolf specter, like the dad goes out and touches it. He goes out and like touches it. And just sort of pets it. Like, this isn't fake. This is real. So as Belle goes throughout his like days and such, like at one point he gets like his little sister, which is, I'll say, is a baby. A hawk tries to take his little sister, because believe it or not, those things are known for this. Like a giant eagle just swoops down, carries the baby for a bit. Belle throws like a giant, like a rock, like his little wolf specter just rushes after and jumps on this bird, sort of like grabbing it and bringing it to the ground. As Belle rushes over, he tells the wolf to keep his little sister safe. As he gets over there, he sort of sees that it's the same thing, like how he can sort of see the spirit of the bird. So he rushes over after giving it like a solid kick and sending it up in the air. Its soul turns red. So again, he rushes over, takes like because also he doesn't just like his soul reaches out and grabs it. He literally takes with his own two hands and grabs onto it and just tears it off, just like, whoa, and just rips this thing's soul out of nowhere. And it's just, oh, I'm sorry. Just sort of, as he just realizes he just stole another thing's soul. So at this point, he's like sort of wondering and curious. So I'll say at one point they go to like a village or like a minor city that has some things on magic. So Belle rushes off. His dad's like, his mother's like, hang on, we'll get there eventually, and they do their shopping. Then eventually she runs by the library, and they run by it and see what they can find. So as they're running through it, Belle sort of finds the little thing about it's a very rare magic, but certain people have been known to be able to take the souls of certain creatures and such, like animals. That some of them have documented their findings and such while they've explored this weird power of theirs. They've talked about how they've taken things from the tiniest insect to the biggest bear. And then when they got to a darker point, Belle's mom did not want him to see this, but he's like, I gotta learn everything I can. So as he's sifting through it, he sees a very important thing that's labeled, warning, will condemn you as a witch, or something like that. Just like, this is the dark side of it. And it starts going into how they could forcibly rip out somebody, a human being's soul, that this will is actually, because I'll say there are like magic people who like keep an order on certain types of magic, like magic that deals with evil and voodoo in general, like being used for dark magic. This has been labeled as a part of dark magic to take a human soul. So Belle's like, oh. And someone did document their findings. Like, how it worked for them is that what happened is that as they were being attacked by somebody, they like hit them, and actually they even had a weapon on them, and like, I guess, stabbed the guy with it. Just a little shank. And as the soul flickered red, they saw their chance and grabbed it. The man attacking them fell on his knees automatically, sort of like gasping for air, like something was choking him. And I say, like, since it's a human will versus another human's will, they like were able to just barely rip it out. And as this guy just screamed in agony, like, just an agonizing scream that could be heard for miles. And then they summoned him. Like, in another spot that happened, they summoned him. Like, when they were, like, another group of people were attacking him, when he was summoned, he was in armor with, like, a sword. Like, very terrible armor, and a sword and shield. As he saw this, he rushed forward and just sliced down the people. He sort of just like head down, and his weapons just like on his side. Sort of like a zombie in a way. Just head down, and then when the person like moved away, it's like sort of straightened up and walked, or more or less marched. Just because how the person didn't know this, but sort of when it takes a thing's soul, it takes the aspects that more aligned with that person. So if they were an evil person, it'd be more adept at killing than with the giant sword and shield. It was more of like a defensive type. This person wasn't really violent, so it wanted more ways to protect them. So it would have like a giant shield and like a sword to slash with. And like relative armor to take shots. Belle's wolf and giant hawk essentially were the hawk was bigger. Much bigger than it actually was, which was already about the size of a human. If you took like the wingspan and floated it out. The wolf, that just looked like a normal dog, because Belle really isn't aggressive or defensive. He's just a kid. So it's just sort of like a normal wolf. The only difference is that maybe it's a little bit bigger. To protect him much better and such, and to attack much better. So it's neither good nor bad. Now, as he's going through his life, he reads up on this, and his mother takes notes just in case. So yeah, after this whole little expedition to the library, Belle's not oozing, but just bewildered and kind of glad that more people have had this ability than just him. So at times he would go off by himself and just experiment in a way. He wouldn't actively go kick things around and steal their souls. Sometimes he would have his hawk fly into a river and after fishing for a bit catch fish, or have the wolf stand there, because the fish never noticed it. So the wolf would just stand there, and as a fish would go by, it would take its jaws real quick, launch its head down, and just snap up a fish. Since the fish really didn't notice them being all spiritual, since they were spirits and such. So after a day of fishing, he comes back. He comes back with a giant a big basket of fish, saying he's brought food. So the parents are happy. They're yeah, good for you, Belle. As he finished this up, out of nowhere, a band of raiders and such just come and attack the village. As Belle is like, as they're all freaking out, Belle's mother gets on a horse and such and grabs Deku and his younger sister. Belle's like 7, his sister's like 5. So as they're having this whole freak out thing, Belle just sort of, and like at one point he actually summons the wolf and the giant hawk and just have them defending. The wolf is keeping up with like the mother, and the hawk is keeping away some marauders or raiders that come by. One point Deku's family, not Deku, Belle and his little family's attacked after they get ambushed by several dudes. The wolf and the hawk immediately rush down. After a little bit, after a guy's about to raise up his axe to finish off Belle's mother, the father comes rushing over. Deku sees the soul as it flickers, as it turns red. He sees his chance and just whoosh, as he's holding on to dear life and just pulling it down. This guy is on his knees like the other time that was explained, and just as the other two stop and look at this, Belle and his mother and father are horrified at what's happening. They see Belle ripping this dude's soul out as there's just again another agonizing scream. As it's just as his soul is ripped from his body and just falls over. Belle sucks it in, then as immediately essentially spits it back out. This one has 2 axes. This time is meant for being more aggressive. Is more heavily armored like a berserker and just starts swinging wildly at the other 2. As it's what the heck is this? As they go to defend, its dual axes just phase through and cut down the 2 guys. As this happens, they continue running for several days, but the marauders and such manage to pick off Belle's mother and father after the hawk and the berserker the wolves, the berserker managed to hold them off. Belle and his sister, after several days of running, make it to Belle's grandfather's farm in this. Well, adoptive grandfather, that is. Grandfather puts them to work, and they, at one point, it's just oh, dang it, the cows got out again, or something along those lines. I think he was just a farmer, but who knows. He essentially sends up his giant hawk to go hunt them down and spot them, and he spots them. Then he sends off the 2 others to bring them back. So as he's alright, I got some guys together. As that happens, he just sees Belle getting the last cow to the farm. And at this point, I'll say that how he found them was that they were just wandering about. He essentially just found them you guys could use some food. If you work, I'll pay. I'll give you a place to stay. Since Belle and his sister were essentially desperate at this point, they're just alright. So he puts Belle to work, and his little sister to work as well. Little sister essentially does little things like housework and such. And then Belle does things around the farm. So as he sees Belle loading these last cows back into their little pens, he's how'd you do this? It's the skill I have. He's show me. As he just sort of summons the wolf, he's spirit taker. They're what? Yeah, that's what I've heard they're called, spirit takers. You rip the spirits out of things and make them your own. They're yeah. That's a cool skill. And it has come in handy, I bet, since you have a wolf and a hawk. Yeah. He hasn't... he probably won't ever show him the guy, unless it's a very desperate situation. And this has been a nice first video. I'm tired. So, thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Nice night, nice life.